#Growth Middle East Asia 2020, a virtual summit exclusively created for marketers, product leaders, and founders, featuring an incredible lineup of speakers from leading traditional and mobile-first brands. With this initiative, we try and bring to you and share with you the knowledge of both of these worlds. Now, we have some interesting panels with us over the next couple of days, and we'll have some of these product leaders, marketing leaders come and share their point of view about what's working, what's not working. And we'll start off with our first panel today, which is Offline to Online, the Inevitable Shift. Before we deep dive into the discussion, I'll introduce my panelists with me today, and I'll request them to quickly share some information about themselves and their organization. I have with me Kais from Sierra and Hamad from Stars Play. Gentlemen, if you can give a brief introduction about yourself.
Yeah, this is Kais Khatib, the product director at Sierra, with experience over 20 years in digital industry, e-commerce. Sierra actually is one of the leading classified marketplace and online selling cars in Saudi Arabia. And we have been in this business more than 5 years. And more and more we're investing in technologies to shift the car dealership business into online business in Saudi Arabia.
Hi, everyone. This is Hamad Malik. I head up marketing function at Stars Play. Stars Play is a regional startup headquartered in Dubai. We are in the streaming business. So basically, we have on our platform Hollywood movies, Hollywood series, English content, Arabic content, kids content. Over the past 5 years, gradually Stars Play has gained the #1 market position ahead of the global heavyweights that are very active in the streaming industry. And that has been because of our local insights, understanding of the market, understanding of the needs of the people of this region. Happy to be here today and to talk to you.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen, for that introduction. And let's dive into the questions that we have for today. We've all seen that, the last 6-7 months, especially since February, a lot has changed, right? Especially on the offline side of the business, which have virtually shut down, and a lot of them were forced to come online, and online businesses booming, right? Consumer patterns, consumer behavior, spending, and communication as well to these customers has changed, right? What do you think? Which channels have been working out the best? And what is the role of these channels in reaching out to the customers effectively? Guys, we'll start with you.
Okay. Actually, there's no doubt that Corona forced many businesses to shut down or maybe to do their work from offline to online. And we have seen this actually clearly in our business. That many dealers in Saudi Arabia, they were forced to shut down their dealership rooms, and at that time, the request and the orders increased online. So at that time, this forced the people, to flooding an online experience or online buying cars online and checking the car details and calling, even trying to getting the dealer details online, and this actually make the online business more booming since maybe March. I'm sure that maybe people before they were just in the comfort zone that I have no option. Why I should go through online experience? I'm buying online. There's no trust, no confidence. But I think with Corona, make people to adopt this with no option to go back to offline. And according to Ipsos research released on April 2020, one of these interesting metrics or outcomes they got, that more than 63% respondent in Saudi Arabia, they are using e-commerce to purchase more compared with previous time, which means now you see more people buying online than before. And actually, this may be a good news for the online business, but maybe some bad news for small or mid-sized business in offline, because they are forced to to adopt this wave as soon as possible. Otherwise, we'll be out of business. Yes, Kunal, yeah, I think maybe the connections from your end.
I think I will move over to Hamad now. Hamad's inputs,
Sure.
what his insights was all about.
Sure. So in our case, our story is slightly different, and how we have managed everything in the last few months. So being an e-com company, I mean, basically we didn't have any reliance on the brick and mortar infrastructure. So as far as someone has a credit card, or I mean, we have another mode of payment which is called telco billing or direct carrier billing. As far as they have access to a mobile phone, they could subscribe to our product. So this was one thing. I mean, the access to the market was there. I mean, I can appreciate the fact that, I mean, as people went into lockdown, I mean, many companies, especially those who had heavy reliance on the retail, suffered. However, for us, that was slightly different. The second thing was that entertainment avenues throughout the region were closed down. So, I mean, cinemas were closed. I mean, people couldn't step outside, and hence you couldn't do your normal activities, like families couldn't go to playgrounds or parks, etc. So when people started spending more time indoors, they had to sort of like explore new avenues of entertainment. And this is where us, having been here in the region for 5 years, having had investments, I mean, a huge investment in marketing, in content acquisition, and helped us a lot, because these days, as you can imagine, I mean, laptops and iPads are sometimes used as electronic pacifiers. I mean, you just switch something on and then put your kids in front of these devices, or even for families. I mean, since they couldn't step outside, they would gather around the TV, and TV became the most important avenue of entertainment. So again, since we have over 10,000 hours of great content, I mean, we were a brand that people started interacting more
Right.
and more with. So for us, I mean, the story was slightly different. And being a e-commerce platform and OTT platform, and what we experienced in the last few months was slightly different from what a lot of other brands experienced.
Got it.
And I'm back, gentlemen. Sorry. Apologies for that. Power outages in India are pretty common. Great.
So Kunal, we were just, I mean, we were giving our perspective just in case you missed something. I mean, Case gave his perspective of how they moved their business from offline into online, and our perspective, as you know, is slightly different, being a pure play e-com company. So we've just shared that.
Great. If we were to move away from your own individual industries, you guys have tons of experience in other organizations, spanning across different industries, right? What do you predict? How do you think other industries are coping up? What are the industries that are doing well in this region? Which industries have taken a bad hit because of COVID? Guys, if you start with you.
Yes, Kunal. Actually, for sure that maybe the health industry and the online industry and anything can be even is it related to people protection, or maybe their health and safety, and something can be delivered remotely, maybe like Netflix and Stars Plays and this stuff. They did well done job in the COVID time. people maybe in the part that are producing maybe non-essential products that people usually receive the big hits, especially who are working in the offline. And mostly actually the small businesses, like, see like small groceries and these stuff, they receive big hit. Now the big maybe grocery shops, now they start automating and offering, online solutions. Before it was hard to convince like this big grocery brands to go online, because easily no one will buy it. But now the grocery business, now it's booming online. And the small shops that are or the small groceries that are missing the opportunities, because they don't have the know-how, they don't have the money to invest, the mindset. All these usually it keeps a bad impact on their business. So and big brands like maybe Amazon, Noon, and Kareem, and Visa, and all these big brands, they play a big vital role to bring more audience to adopt the online. So as they usually communicate it as a safer, cashless, faster. So these critical keywords, it's playing or motivating the regional consumer. Yeah, I want something safer, I want something faster and convenient, because he's always stuck at the home, cannot leave. So this usually now the business, they're playing in this kind of communications to convince the consumers more and more to buy and to adopt the online lifestyle.
Right. Hamad, do you agree, or do you have some more industries to add to this list?
Yeah, sure. So I agree in principle with what KS is saying. I mean, on one side, what KS is trying to say is that one of the barriers for the expansion of e-commerce in the region has been the consumer attitude. There was this mistrust of paying online, using your credit cards online, etc. Whether I will get the right things that I have ordered or not. Whether when I order clothes, whether they will be the right size. If they are not right size, would I be able to return them or get a refund, etc. I think during the past few months, what happened was people were compelled to do their shopping online, and as they did, and as they got a decent experience, now they have their attitudes have morphed in a way where they can trust, doing these transactions online. So I think that is there. That's a very valid comment. I think the important thing is not that which industries will do well or which industries will not do well. I think in every industry we will see some winners emerging. I think the key here is that these are very different circumstances, very tough circumstances. But I think if you ask any experienced, mature business executive, they would have seen a lot of ups and downs in their life, right? Even when you are running a business normally, everybody else might be flourishing, but you might have some special circumstances because of which you might not be doing very well. So the key here is, how can the companies transform? How can they adjust to what's happening in the market? How can they adjust to what is happening with their competitors? And how can they adjust to the new demands of the customers? So I don't think it is the industries. Yes, there are, some obvious winners under the current circumstances. E-commerce is, companies are, is at the forefront. However, if you talk to a lot of e-com companies also, they have their unique circumstances and their unique challenges based on supply chain, based on product sourcing and things like that. So I think, the winners will emerge based on who has the ability to transform, who has the ability to learn from everything that is happening around them, and do everything in a slightly different way, but still keeping their focus on the customer. So I think these are the attributes that will probably differentiate the winners from those who might not be able to do very well.
Rightly pointed out, and that's pretty well tied to my next question, which is, do you have any anecdotes, any examples of some strategies, especially consumer-facing strategies, which have helped businesses bridge the gap between, coming online and shopping online or being online?
Yeah, so I can go first, and we have some very, very good examples or very good case studies there, which have enabled us to, as I mentioned earlier, gain the #1 market share in the streaming industry. Streaming industry, as you can understand, is super competitive, right? I mean, on one side, at the premium side, I mean, there are some well-established pay TV players in the region. On the other side, there are some very well-established free-to-air companies that we have to compete with. And I mean, then within the OTT and streaming space, you have some global competitors who are who are huge mega companies, right? So one of the things that we did, I mean, as Stars Play, was to analyze what could be the challenges for growth in this region. And one of the things that we identified was low credit card penetration. Because if you are a online business, then traditionally, I mean, in Europe or in US, since the credit card penetration is very high, you would set up your digital, I mean, business or your streaming business, and people would start paying by credit cards. But here, as you know, at least when you go out of UAE, I mean, if you go to even Saudi, and Cass is based in Saudi, so he can probably give you these numbers much more accurately. But the credit card penetration is anywhere between 20 to 25%. If you go to North Africa and Egypt, the credit card penetration is really, really low. I mean, it is sub 3-4%. So in a region like that, how do you engage the customers? How do you bring them to sort of like subscribe to your product? So one of the things that we did was that we integrated with the telco providers in the region, and we started something which was called direct carrier billing, which means that you can subscribe to our product and you will receive your bill as part of your telephony or internet or those services bill. And then for a startup, it was also a very important step, because, I mean, if you go to the market and say, we are Stars Play, please subscribe to us, people might think, oh, are these guys a piracy site, or are these guys, I mean, even genuine? Would I get everything that they are communicating? But when they see a brand like STC or Mobily or Etisalat, I mean, endorsing the brand indirectly and saying, yes, you can subscribe to this service by using our infrastructure, people have that trust that, okay, at least these guys are verified that this brand is a genuine brand. So I think this has enabled us to penetrate the markets much faster, penetrate the markets where traditionally the big global giants have not been able to penetrate. And it has actually helped us become the #1 streaming company in the region.
Guys, so what are your inputs on this?
Yes, Hamad. Yeah, actually, I totally agree with Hamad. What he's saying is true, and we can experience that. And maybe for the car industry or automotive industry, to do this, we found that the best strategy, to digitizing the shopping experience, since showrooms is closed, how you can bring this experience, how you can make sure that the customer can trust your site and can buy this car from your site online. And one of the things that we implemented, and we trying to put it in a scale, to invest in the 360 experience. So it will be like immersive, experience for the car. You can see the car from exterior, interior, it's like similar like visiting a showroom. So this kind usually of experience that you can tell the customer, okay, you can experience your car online without going to the showroom. You can see everything. You can see even the car inspections. The car is inspected or not, it's good or bad. Yeah, I can buy this car, how much it will cost, all the details, all the processing should be online. So when you bring all these offline, processing to online experience, and you can do it all while they are, sitting in their living room, people by time, they will start, to trust your brand and to trust the online experience. And like what Hamad mentioned, the trust issue here, it's major. And this is why you have to emphasize on this. You have to emphasize that you are a registered company, that we are, you can try it for free. This like a test drive. You can see that this amount is refundable. There's some techniques that, because you have to invite people more and more to use online. So you have to, to put some guarantees, right? For example, we have a 5 days policy that you can buy the car and then you can return it within 5 days. All these risk assurance, strategies will make the user feel, at ease when buying this product, especially a high ticket product.
Right. So, all these strategies are good, but no strategy is good if you're not able to communicate effectively to your consumer, right? Then it's just as good as anything written on a paper. What do you think is the best way to reach out to the customers? Should brands be following a multi-channel reach out policy, or should they figure out what is the best and most effective channel to reach out and contain themselves to a singular channel? Guys, let's start with you.
Usually the communication with customers is a very important strategy, always to focus on that. But you cannot say that there is one channel that can solve all this stuff. So you have always, to focus on multiple or to use multiple channels. And I found actually from experience that, reaching the customers, it's a good strategy, but the most important is to personalize the experience once they arrive to your website. And this is something really, it's a big opportunity when you make sure that user arrived to your website, and you want to make sure without leaving your website, you are personalizing everything, even your app. And maybe this is something not easy, it's very hard. So doing marketing, maybe like push notifications, PPC, social media, it's all good, but you're always inviting outsiders. And once the outsiders coming to your website or your app and experience your product, at that time you have to personalize everything and almost in real time. This is something not easy, but it needs a lot of experiment. So I found personalization, it will be like a big investment, because it's not easy to convince this customer to return back to your site or to use your service. So most of the time you have a one chance to convince him. And you have to invest in these this kind of personalization. One of the things that you have to automate this process as much as you can, because I know that before that usually we do it like manual. Okay, let's just do this campaign or this messaging for 2 days, and just you make it mass. But usually the results is not that good. But once you go to and personalize based on gender or age or price, for example, in Sayara, we have a lot of data. We can know that this user is looking for used car for Toyota, for Camry, and he called this dealer or that dealer. Based on that, we usually customize, the list, or sometimes we send him a personalized push notification based what he's looking. Yeah, we have a good deal for used cars, and we can give you 5 days policy if you buy this car, for example. This based on all of his, search and browsing experience. So without personalization engine, all your communications won't work properly. I'm sure maybe Hamad, maybe they're using the same maybe techniques, because I think this will be the future more and more, the personalization.
Agreed, KS, and I mean, so there are different areas, right? I mean, when we are communicating to prospects, I mean, you need to personalize your messaging and personalize what you say, how you say over there. When they convert into subscribers for us, I mean, again, you have to have a very high quality, personalized sort of experience for them, not only on the product, but also how you communicate with them. How do you keep them updated with everything new that is coming on our platform, etc. So just to give you an example, I mean, for instance, if someone watches a certain piece of content, or a set of content, I mean, we try and analyze that. I mean, so what is this person interested in? Is this person interested in a specific star or a producer or a genre? And then by putting that understanding, we recommend, I mean, what else they could be watching or what else they might like. So this is a very, I mean, it sounds very simple, but the depth in which you can go, because I mean, to a degree, it's tough how many combinations and permutations you have when you are trying to establish, okay, why did this person watch this specific piece of content? And then, I mean, using AI and using certain other tools, we have to try and be very, very accurate in what we recommend to them, because there is this thing that when people every night, when they switch on their TV, they don't want to be browsing, or looking for content for 15-20 minutes, because most of the people, they have just an hour in which they want to enjoy something, they want to watch something. So you are spot on with this observation, Cass, that just adopting the right channels, communication channels, is not enough. You have to take it to a level where the experience is super personalized for the people that we are communicating with.
So do you think, I know this is a very random off the chart sort of question. Do you think this is what splits offline businesses with online businesses? That online businesses are able to personalize their offerings a lot better than any offline business can?
Well, I think, the basic premise of this whole discussion is pretty much the same, right? It is the consumer or customer centricity in an organization. If your DNA as an organization is to just think of the customers, whether you are a B2B company, B2C company, customer facing company, online company, you would find ways to have an experience for your customers that is personalized, that is suitable for them, etc. I think the ability for you is at a very, very different level with the data that you have if you are an online company, right? So you have a lot of customer touch points, and you can collect the data from all those customer touch points and probably fast track your ability to understand the customer, what is it that they are looking for, and to be able to offer them a proposition that that is most suitable for them. But I think, even if you are an offline company, if you have that mindset, if you have that DNA, you would be able to figure out what is it that you should be doing to engage the customers in a better way. The data availability might be slightly different, and traditionally in the Middle East region, the secondary data, or the reliability of the secondary data, has been a big question mark traditionally. However, if a company puts in the effort, they can collect a lot of primary data and then base their decisions on that.
Right. So we're heading into the last question from me today, but I understand and I hear you guys when you say personalization and understand the customer is the most important point and channels come in later. But if you were to pick one channel that has worked for you, your companies individually, what would that channel be? Guys, let's start with you.
Okay, I think in this case, usually I would focus on pull channel, anything that it's in pull methods that it grab the customer interest, because using usually push channels that always you are pushing the customers with your messaging, maybe it's not enough. So usually you have to grab the customers from what they are searching for. I know maybe this like a cliche that is used now in the industry. Yeah, the search engine is the best because it always brings the quality. And actually, it has proved by time that yes, search, usually the customers coming from the search, usually it gives the best value. The average order value usually much more higher. Their engagement is much more higher because usually they are looking for your service. They are interested in your service. Unlike just going, through social media and just keep on, infusing your messages everywhere, and maybe sometimes you're not getting the most quality. Now, search channels so far is the best channel, but I think the other, maybe the best channel is once a customer arrives to your website, the key channels here, it's your site experience. I know something this it's maybe not related to channels, but this is usually very important. Regardless, if you know from where you're coming your customers and you are personalized again the experience correctly, the content, even the messages later on, I'm sure that maybe the push notification will be better. I'm sure that later on the social media will be better if based on what they have experienced at your site or at your app. because we're gonna tell just, okay, there's a channel and it's a winner. But from my experience, I found search channels is the best, and always every time it proves that it's bring the most and the best quality. But it's not enough. It's not enough. You have, bring in more channels, because at the end of the day, you have a target. You want to expand the markets, because these channels sometimes it's not scalable. You have to invest in other channels. So it's like, a one whole ecosystem for your marketing mix. Otherwise, you won't succeed.
Yeah, I would concur with that. So, I mean, for us, for instance, I mean, social has been a very, very good channel where you can acquire high quality customers. They would consume a lot of content. They would be loyal to your brand, etc. But then, I mean, at what cost are you bringing them? And I mean, whether it is scalable or not are the two questions usually for e-com companies. So you have to, I mean, there is no silver bullet, right? And then from brand to brand, industry to industry within the e-commerce space, I mean, there would be certain things which will be very unique. So fashion, etc. I mean, for fashion brands, I mean, probably retargeting would work very well. For us, our experience was that, I mean, we found it very tough to make sense of retargeting because, I mean, if someone is browsing a lineup of I don't know, jackets or purses or shoes, it is relatively easier to understand that, okay, there is a female looking for Prada, as a purse, and then, okay, so we can show Louis Vuitton or some other brands. I mean, I don't want to oversimplify it, but I mean, what I'm saying is that sometimes with set data points, you can easily determine who they are and what are they looking for and what can you propose to them. Whereas in our industry, I mean, if someone watches, for instance, a piece of content, you never know whether they just like that genre or they like the heroine or the hero or, even the producer or director. So, I mean, that is why when we try to experiment with retargeting, for instance, initially, I mean, we found it a little bit difficult unless we accumulated or until we accumulated enough data points. So, my main message is that, I mean, I don't think there is a silver bullet. However, what you need to do is experiment with different channels, control your costs, optimize channels constantly, and then see as a combination what works best for your brand.
Great. Thanks for that, Hamad, guys. We have some questions from the audience. Let's look at them. So I think first question is, what tactics are working for you in user acquisition in GCC region currently, especially in pandemic? What heads up or recommendation you would give to acquire good quality acquisitions? Hamad, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I mean, our case is a little bit unique because what we did in the last few months was that we optimized our marketing budgets as the organic interest in our product went through the roof. So, I mean, when we saw such a huge quantity of organic interest coming our way, we actually, in certain cases, optimized our budgets. So, I think, I mean, from each industry to industry, it will be different. I mean, again, you need to experiment with different channels. You need to keep an eye on, obviously, on one side, the cost, but on the other side, the quality of the people. So, I mean, there are certain channels which can bring a huge influx. For instance, in our case, one of our KPIs is the trial. So, for instance, if you work with some affiliate partners, they can bring in huge number of trials. But then, I mean, once someone is in, I mean, what is the percentage of conversion? What is the percentage that is watching stuff? And what is the percentage that will pay for the second month and third month? I mean, so every business has some unique KPIs. I think the main thing is to understand what works for your business and which channels are performing across all those KPIs. I don't think in today's businesses there are any silver bullets anymore.
Sure. Guys, Do you prefer adding a B2C video call on the website while the customer is looking at the product in order to achieve higher sales rate?
Yeah.
What's your view from a product side?
Yeah, do you prefer adding a B2C video call website where customers looking for product that should higher sales? Maybe it works in other maybe businesses like maybe remote health and these stuff. Usually they want to make sure they are talking with the real humans, and this is something usually we are doing even with the cars. You know, when you want to buy a car, and usually it's a high ticket. Sometimes showing the picture or the image of the sales agent, and this will be a good indication. Yeah, there is a human behind this website, because always the users, he cannot see if this website is alive, it's working or not. Showing this part, I'm sure this will increase the higher chance of converting the customers, because at least he can communicate with the real humans. Maybe we're not showing it as a video, but showing at least the images of the salespeople in the site. It works well, especially in like real estate. This works very well because you feel, there's a connection, there's emotional connection between, there is a human behind this website, and I came here, you can connect with me, instead of using the bots. The trend is always increasing and increasing for the bots, but sometimes by people, they don't trust this stuff. They want to talk to humans, so they can feel easy and convert with trust. Yeah.
So you feel that such tactics may work where the ticket is price is high.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think the third question is more for us to handle. No, I don't think we have a structured presentation for this one. Cool. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. It was lovely talking to both of you, and I hope that our audience got to learn some bit from you, had some good insights from you, and they'll be able to experiment based on your knowledge as well. And as we wrap up this discussion, I'd like to inform our audience that we have another panel discussion coming up.